My mama said, find your husband in college. She said, because that's where you're going to have the most access to the most men. My mother knew that I was studying to be an engineer. And she was just like, Chanel, you don't want to marry someone that intellectually is not going to be on your level or even have the earning potential. You are the prize. The Bible says a wife brings favor. You are the favor. With you comes blessings. When you step in with a man, his business gets better. He gets promotions.
Yes.
He starts dressing better. So treat yourself like the favor that you are.
Hi, and welcome to the Love Lens podcast. You are watching our first live recording, and we are so excited to be here. You got to brace yourself for an amazing conversation with Coach Cass and her special guest. And now let's give a round of applause to Coach Cass.
Welcome to another episode of The Love Lens. Please take a moment right now to subscribe and hit the notifications because you never, ever want to miss an episode. Now, today, I have an amazing guest, Chanel Martin, an entrepreneur, a woman of faith, a mom of four, and I'm just so excited to have her because sis has a story to tell. So welcome, Chanel.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, Coach Cass.
So, Chanel, you're someone that I see emanates faith. Right. And I'd love to talk about what do you see as the problem when it comes to faith and relationships? You being a married woman, you ministering to so many women, you being around women all the time, like you've done so much in your life that I feel that you've seen the shift, and especially with your prophetic planning. Like what is it that you see when it comes to faith and relationships? Let's start there. What's the problem?
Okay, so first of all, people have to believe that there is somebody for them and that they can actually find love and be in a relationship. We're making a lot of bold declarations when we say, oh, there's pee in the dating pool, or, just think about all the many things we're saying and we're talking about, ain't nothing out there.
Right.
And as if you are a single woman, right, that can make you feel like my time has passed.
Right.
My ship has sailed. Also being intentional about early on about what type of life you want to live, what type of partner you want to have, what type of status you want to have. We can talk about this. My mom did something for me.
Okay, what's your mama do?
I know this is why I'm married.
Oh, okay.
I know this is why I'm married. She gave me a criteria. Now, I wish she would have gave me the other half. She only gave me half the criteria. I didn't get the other half. I had to learn the other half. But she told me, she said, Chanel, I want you to think about the life you want to live. And she said, when you go to college, she said, find your husband in college.
She told you to find your husband in college?
She did.
Did any of y'all get that? Did your mama tell you to find your husband in college?
Focus on
Now, my mama said, find your husband in college. She said, because that's where you're going to have the most access to the most men at the same time. She said, once you get out of college, everybody's scattered.
Yeah.
Then she also, because we talked about, the lifestyle I wanted, she said, marry a doctor, someone that's in school to be a doctor, a lawyer, or an engineer.
Say word. My mama did not tell me any of this.
That's what she told me.
Yes.
And I really believed her. And then she also told me, she was like, also remember, you're single until you're married. So those pieces of advice, like I actually lived like that. So I didn't get caught up real early in, like I wasn't married to a man while we were dating. You know what I mean? Like I just was like, I was real nonchalant. And I think that might have been an attractive quality.
Yes.
Because I'm like, you're not my man yet. Like, not really. I mean, we together, but we're not married. So I was very kind of, I don't know what like this real casual in the dating scene. I knew I had options.
Ooh, come on, options.
And so when my husband, I met him in college and he is an engineer.
Come on. Yes.
He's an engineer turned data scientist now, but we met at Georgia Tech. We were both engineers at one time. But and I'm gonna say this, so this is no shade to nobody who's in any other profession. My mother knew that I was studying to be an engineer. And so she started talking to me about being equally yoked and all those things. She was just like, Chanel, you don't want to marry someone that intellectually is not going to be on your level or even have the earning potential. This is before I stepped into entrepreneurship. She wasn't even thinking about that. You know, it's so different now. Yeah. But she wanted someone that could have the earning potential so that we could thrive together.
Come on, earning potential.
So that was the advice that my mother gave me. And I thought that was normal. I thought everybody got that advice. And so my friends, when I would kind of date, and I intentionally dated, if we go look at my dating history and see the professions of all these men, one is an emergency medicine doctor.
Come on.
And the other guy's an attorney. Like, they're all
doing something.
And those were the initial conversations that I was having. So if we think about this from like a perspective of, you know, let's say you're not in school, right? You're out of college, you're in your career. I do believe that those things are important, having those conversations early on and not just being so desperate to find love, but making sure that like someone's going to be on your mindset level. I think about the conversations even me and my husband have, and I chuckle because I'm like, this is so nerdy.
Two engineers in a household. You're talking about like screws and bolts, like what y'all how to build trains.
So I'm going to say for my husband, he starts talking to me about black holes and space-time and theory, and he'll start talking to me about exactly. So I have, even though I may not be interested in that, I have the mental capacity to follow along with the conversation and provide insight. Versus somebody else, they confused at the we got black holes, right? Like, right. You know, and so that's one piece. And then for me, when I get into my deep train of thoughts and what is it called when you are I can't even think of the apologetics. I start getting into and I'm trying to dissect and understand. I'm like, well, help me understand. And he's not completely bored with the conversation. We're able to engage and do research and look up stuff because we're trying to understand.
So you talk about the apologetics. So there's faith in there. So then what was that testing with your husband then? We got the nerdiness going, but then how did the faith come into play?
Okay. Again, because I'm a woman of faith, I was told that you had to like, I mean, they call it manifested now, but I was praying and I wrote me a list. I had a bad little situation shit right before I met my husband. That was a whole situation shit. And I was like, man, I don't want this. You know, I tried it. I'm going to listen to you, mama. So I wrote out a whole list. In college, it had to have been like 50 things of all the things I wanted.
50?
It was like at least 50.
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah, it was a lot. I mean, I'm talking about like, I was like, he got to like soy milk. I was like, put anything that I could think of. I was so specific. And one of those things was that he needed to believe in God. Like, he had to be a man of faith. And at that time, I wasn't walking boldly in my faith. So it was enough that he believed in God, that he attended or was open to attending church and fellowshipping. And so when I started when I met my husband in college, and, you know, he came to me, act like he wanted to study. I really believed him. I wanted to study. I was struggling, okay? So he got my number to study. And then we were like in a computer lab and stuff. And then he started saying stuff. And I remember one time I was hungry. We had no money. And I said, hey, you want to ride back to my house? I got some cereal. This is college talk. And I said, but I only got soy milk. He said, oh, I love soy milk. and it was like that. It was like, I was like, what this was a sign. That was a sign. But that was a sign. So like, you know, even starting the relationship out in prayer and intentionality instead of just saying, here I am. And I think that goes back to, like, you talking about being with women, like understanding my worth. Like, I thought very highly of myself. I knew that at the time I was going to be somebody's engineer, and I did do engineering for a little bit. I knew it was going to be somebody's engineer. I knew that I was an attractive woman. I knew that I kept myself together. I dressed well. My hair was like, I knew that I was on a status. And so I knew that I could have options, and I wasn't limited. So I used that as leverage, and I was actually dating multiple people.
Come on, multiple.
At the same, yes, we had multiples, and I got confused. Again, let's talk about faith. I was like, okay, because I had one guy, he was trying to come and visit me for the holidays, and I was like, oh man, but my now husband was at my house all the time. I said, I got to figure something out. So I prayed. And I think we had about 4 guys that I was dating. I was not exclusive with any of them. And I said, God, I need you to show me which one I need to pick.
Yeah.
Okay. Y'all, I'm in my 20s, okay? Early time in college. I need you to understand how young I was.
Yes.
But I just, that's my faith. My grandmama and my mama told me I could pray about anything. So I prayed about these men. One guy, fiance, I know he had a fiance come calling.
Oh.
I was like, oh, you got a whole fiance? Okay, he got X'd out. The other guy found out, my roommate comes and tell me that she met him first.
He's mine.
I was like, oh. Sorry. After I came back and I was like, yeah, girl, I met this guy. We went on a date, went to MLK museum, and she was like, such and such. I was like, oh, okay. So he was X'd out. I was like, bro, you knew. And then another guy, now we're like 2 guys. It was my husband and this other guy that were in the running. And I just had to pick. And so what I did, you wanna know what I did?
What you do?
I be thinking about how crazy I was. This is what happens when you fearless. I sent my now husband a text. It was long. I said, hey, I'm trying to understand, is this going anywhere? And how you actually feel about me. Is this, are we just kicking it? Because I need to make a decision.
Right.
And when he texted me back, I was very forward. I don't know if you can do that now, but I was very forward. And then he texted me back. He was like, yeah, that's the plan. That's all he said.
Okay. That's the plan. Okay. Plan.
So then I had to let the other dude go. And I said,
You didn't send the other dude the same text message?
No. I'm going to tell you why. Because the other guy he was a little bit older than me. He had already graduated. He was in another state.
Oh, okay.
He had that attractive quality because he had the income to travel. And I was trying to decide if I really wanted to do, I'm in Atlanta, y'all. Like, if I wanted to do the long distance thing, I'm young,
Right.
I was, I had options. Okay. So I didn't do that because I knew that he would be stable. I knew how he felt about me. But my husband was in school with me. He was accessible. So I was just like, are you just playing? He was a good looking guy. He was Greek. He pledged. Like, he had options too. So I need to understand that we were both each other's option.
Right.
And when he said that's the plan, I let the other guy know.
Oh, wow. That's pretty good. Oh, that's really good. Okay. So now you're here. You're starting a life together. Like, how was that transition to actually getting married? Like, was it short? Was it long?
Oh, okay. So we have a very unusual story because I'm a different type of woman. I realized that after talking with people, and I believe it's due to my mother, who just raised me differently. So I ended up going to graduate school, and we did a long distance relationship for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
One of those years we were married.
Oh.
I know.
Okay.
So I am now at North Carolina A&T getting my master's in chemical engineering. And so I was there. So we did the whole commute thing back and forth. That was straight because, like, honestly, quality time ain't really my love language. So
you could be over there.
Yeah, so I survived. Like, I enjoyed the missing each other part.
Yeah,
that didn't bother me.
Yeah.
And then it got a little old because I didn't even want to travel. But y'all, I learned so much on them road trips. I listened to every dating relationship audiobook. I was in like relationship school 101. That's what I used to do. My mom told me to. She was like, you need to learn. She was so like, I just think about it, just very wise. She was telling me to get these books. And she was recommending them to me. And so I would get the audiobooks and I would just listen. I would check them out. You could rent them at the time, the little CDs. And I was putting them in my CD. Look, I know, so old. I put them in my CD changer and I'm listening to these. So we did that. And then while at the end of graduate school, I was at the University of Michigan State doing a graduate research project. And my husband asked me to marry him over the phone. I'm gonna tell you, this is what we did though. So
wait. Your husband?
He asked me to marry him over the phone.
Over the phone?
I got a real proposal later, but over the phone. I'm gonna tell you how he did it, y'all.
Okay.
So remember, we young. This is what happens when you marry young. We young. Y'all, this is not acceptable if you are older, okay? This is not acceptable. We were young, and at the time, I was in the process of highly considering getting my doctorate degree at the University of Florida.
Okay.
So I was in a pipeline program to go to the University of Florida. They had just flew me out there, shown me the program. You know, so I'm a businesswoman. I pitched 2 for 1. I said, well, I got a boyfriend. I said, my boyfriend's a chemical engineer too. If you want me, will you take him too? And give us both scholarships?
Come on.
You know, this type of woman I am. They were like, sure, 2 Black people? All right. So I was like, oh my gosh, you know, of course they show you your best. I don't even know if schools still court for programs like that, but they were really courting me. And I was like, oh my gosh, Florida, I'm going to be at the University of Florida. So I started telling him and I was like, I'm going to get you to go down there too. And so we just started kind of daydreaming because I was going to graduate soon. And he said something to me. He says, we were talking about where we're going to live. He was like, yeah, you know, we get an apartment together. I said, together? I was like, we're not married.
Yeah.
It was genuine. I was like, no, you gonna get your apartment. I'm gonna get my apartment. He was like, that doesn't make any sense. Let's just spend all this money. I said, what you're not gonna do is I move down there, live with you, and I'm gonna end up pregnant in the middle of grad school with no husband. I was like, I was very serious. There's no manipulation. Very honest. If you know me, you know me.
Yeah.
Like that's his. I was like, no, I'm not doing that.
Right.
Very honest. Out of nowhere. I remember I was staying with my friend. She was in law school in Michigan. I was staying with her. And he says, after I said, we're not married. He said, well, we should just get married then. I was like, are you asking me to marry you? He was like, yeah, I was already thinking about it. He said, yeah, we should get married. I was like, is this a marriage? I'm like, is this a, he was like, yeah, we should just, I was already thinking about it, you know, I don't know nobody else. We should just get married. And that is how I got proposed.
Oh my goodness. How many of y'all be like, you gonna have to come back.
He did. I did get like an official proposal. I'm like, was he still in college? Or he had just he didn't have no money. Like there was no money for no ring
so
or
he
nothing.
Gave you like a Rice Krispie?
I didn't have no ring. Yeah, we were.
Y'all would have been like, you gotta wait for the ring.
And look, not. And I don't wear my rings now because my finger's fat after 4 kids. So I just wear the band now. But at the time, like he didn't have no money for no ring or nothing. Yeah. And I mean, again, I told you I was different. Yeah. I was like, okay, it make economical sense. And we done been together for so long. And so we started planning a wedding.
Wow. And you got married?
By the time we got married, now, remember, I'm now in North Carolina. And I did my graduate research project that summer. And then we got married in Las Vegas.
You eloped?
Not really. Oh, we did the traditional wedding.
Okay.
But we did it in Las Vegas. It was a joke that turned into real.
Huh.
Yeah, it was a joke.
So what does that mean?
Well, his mama and him, I love you, mama, but she wanted us to have all these different weddings. Like, we got to have a wedding in Gaston, Alabama. I was like, I don't want all these weddings. Who gonna pay for all of this?
Right.
And then I said, Chris, they stressed me out. We're just gonna get married in Las Vegas. It was a joke. My graduate school advisor said, well, you know, you can have a real wedding. So I got on the computer and I started looking and I was like, oh, these is cheap. Oh, we could do this. And I said, well, it'd be like a honeymoon. Remember, my husband just got out of college. I'm in college. I was like, oh, it'd be like a honeymoon type thing all in one. Yeah. So we just did it all in one. We had a honeymoon in Las Vegas. We got married. We had about 50 of our family.
Wow.
They flew out there. Like, we did a real wedding, and it was all less than $10,000.
Hey, amen.
So that was a win. So we get married, and I get a job in Charlotte. No. First I went to Savannah. So now I'm in Savannah.
And he's still in regular Atlanta?
No, he's in Birmingham. He's in Birmingham now. I get a job in like a co-op type thing in Savannah at Georgia Pacific. I'm a chemical engineer. So they put us in plants. And chemical engineers, we can work anywhere, and we often get shipped out anywhere. Like, we travel a lot when you are a master's degree level. You're going from plant to plant. So I'm in Savannah. I didn't like it. So then I tried to get a job in Alabama. I was trying like Georgia Southern. I was trying. It didn't work. I got recruited, and now I'm in Charlotte. So
long distance.
Yeah, we were long distance. And I just spent all that money on a degree. I had to get a job. Being that stay-at-home mom, wife thing at the time just wasn't the option. So I go get my job. And I mean, when I tell you the old saints, baby, had a fit. Oh, no. They was like, you gonna get married? You gonna leave your husband down there? I was like, yeah. He can come up here and visit me. I just trusted him. I'm like,
yeah.
If he can, we all will be revealed what need to be revealed.
So how did that work out with you having a long-distance marriage?
We did it for a year.
Wow.
And the goal was now, because I was like, okay, Charlotte can be home. The goal was to get him a job in Charlotte. And we didn't, there was a plant that he could work, because he was working as a plant too in Alabama. There was a plant like 20 miles from my plant. So we go to the job and say, hey, can y'all relocate me? They're like, okay, we're going to see if we find something. They say, hey, they go to him and they say, hey, I know you want to get out of Alabama. We can't take you to Charlotte. They said, well, where else do you want to go?
Oh.
He comes to me. I said, Atlanta. Because I had just started this company called My Havana. And I was driving down to Atlanta. I said, well, let's go to Atlanta. So he says Atlanta. And they send him down there. He interviews within a week.
Wow.
He's moving. So I'm praying to God. Remember, faith, right? So I'm like, God, I said, well, I'm ready to go, but I'm locked into this. They did the full, engineers, y'all, it's loaded, okay? They did the full relocation, sign-on bonus. We're talking about, I was loaded.
Yeah.
And they told me I had to pay it back if I didn't do my 2 years.
Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, no, I don't know what we're going to do. But then I said, you know what? God got it.
Yeah.
Because I had prayed. I said, God got this thing. So I was like, well, I need a job. I asked one of my friends who was working at AT&T. I said, y'all hiring? She was like, I don't know, send me a resume. Sent her my resume by Friday. By Monday, I had an interview. By Wednesday, I had a job.
Wow.
So we were coming up on our 1-year anniversary. My husband took off that week, and they gave him a week. He timed it so that he could take that week off, come to Charlotte, celebrate our 1 year, and then he could move. Well, it ended up turning into packing me up. So at our 1-year anniversary, we were packing me up from Charlotte, and we moved to North Georgia mountains, which was about 45 minutes to an hour outside of Atlanta. And that's how we got back together.
Wow. Okay. So faith played an entire role in the whole thing. And you were like, you know what? My husband is faithful. I'm not going to be here. So what would you say to the woman that is constantly, I guess, intimidated by someone being far away, right? Because that took a lot of faith. That took a lot of love for you to say, baby, it's okay if you're over there and I'm going to trust you. So how did you not become the woman that calls every 3 minutes? Because nobody here has ever done that, right? Asking where you doing, what you doing, who you doing with it, all of those things.
My husband never gave me a reason to feel like that. There was never a reason. That never even crossed my mind. And I don't know, because maybe, and this might sound a little conceited, I felt like I was the catch. Like, you really gonna mess this up? And I'm still young enough, I'm educated and independent enough that and I hear the Lord very well. The guy would have sent me a dream, a vision, a raven. You know what I mean? Like, there would have been a something. I would have been waking up, hey, where was you at last night? Like, I would have gotten something. So I just really trusted God. And then I'm going to tell you, I was about my bag. Okay. I had just started a new startup. I was working in my career. I just really didn't have the mental space or the capacity to be worried about me and what he was doing.
Right.
So that's how I did it.
So now let's talk about the confidence, right? I know you fine, right? Okay. But it's just like, I feel like confidence is so much more than looks and education and all the things. So what would you say is the core ingredient to the confidence that you live in?
I guess, and I really feel like, again, maybe because I was just with my mom, like I'm giving her all her props.
Your mom should be on this couch.
Oh man, listen, wonderful. I always got a man. I'm gonna tell you that. My mama, okay, but I feel like my mom helped me to. I never saw her beg, chase behind no man, and I remember after her and my dad divorced. I remember explaining, I was so young. I didn't know what it meant, but I remembered it. She was like, yeah, she said she was celibate. And I didn't know what that meant. Because I think I asked her, like, why she don't date? And she was just like, yeah, I'm waiting. And she did. She waited and got remarried when I was in college.
Wow.
And so I never really saw her chase behind a man. She didn't bring men in and out of our house. Like, it was just a standard she set for me. And so, y'all, moms, your kids are watching. And I just watched her carry herself. I watched her have male friends. They would come and cut the grass. They would fix stuff. Like, I just watched her move. And even with my mom, and I would say I'm probably a lot more elaborate in the way I dress and wear makeup. My mom was much more plain. I mean, sis ain't never had no problems. And the men that she's had have all been extremely attractive, extremely good looking. And it's because she's a solid woman. I have never seen her cry behind no man. When I tell you, so I didn't have that ingrained in my head. I had it like, well, again, I'm the prize.
I love it.
And I don't know if I guess I call it confidence. I didn't know how to articulate it, but I just knew that what one man won't, another man will. I really believe that.
Come on.
I really, at a young age, that was like indoctrinating in me.
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's a whole round of applause, right? Oh my goodness. When we start to think about how much, I work with women every single day, and sometimes I do find that we toil over the thoughts of, is he it? Is he not it? Does he like me? Does he not like me? Will we go out again? And it's like so much extra stress that we put up ourselves and anxiety. And I learned earlier this week that anxiety is a sin. If you're a woman of faith, if you're a Christian and you will say, I believe in God and I put all my cares with him, it's just like anxiety isn't of God. The amount of anxiety that I feel that many women go through with this whole dating process, to me, it's just like you didn't have that. It's like you trusted God and then you moved the way you moved. And if they caught up, they caught up. And if they didn't, they didn't.
That's absolutely it. And I told you I had a situationship a little bit right before my husband's child. Oh gosh, that was a hot mess. And I think that was probably God allowing me to see that this ain't it. So I did. I think with him, I had a little, he triggered fear and anxiety. It just was, it didn't feel right with this man. And I remember, like, even he wasn't on the same career status. I remember trying to help him. He with his school, we was not equally yoked. And I was like, I don't want this. And I made up my mind. I said, this is not it.
So that's a big deal, right? Because I find that many women will say, well, I'm not like religious, Coach Cass. I love God, but then I do go to church every Sunday, but then I do read my Bible. I'm like, ma'am. And so, sometimes they'll date men because he's nice. Oh, well, he says he's agnostic. Oh, well, he says he's Muslim. Oh, well, he says he doesn't really do Jesus or anything. And I'm just like, how is that really going to work? So what do you really think about the equally yoked? Because one lady, she didn't go off on me, but she said she was turned off by the fact that I said, when you're grown and you choose to be with someone of a different faith or belief set, you're signing up for strife. Like if you are like, Like, it just is. So you tell me as the minister, my side hurt no bill. Okay, go ahead.
Let's talk about this.
Yes.
Okay. So I want to speak to the Christian woman. I
Okay.
cannot speak to nobody else because I don't know what y'all do in other religions. So I cannot speak to that. But to the Christian woman, do you want a battle of the gods in your household? I mean,
Right.
think about that.
Right.
So if the man is supposed to be the lead,
Yeah.
and he is serving some other god, whether it may be the god of self or Allah or Buddha or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you're saying that you serve the Almighty God. There is a war in your house 24/7 because your priest is bowing down to another God and you are serving the God Almighty. So Buddha up here thinking he got reign and authority in your house because your head is doing that. And you praying to a God trying to figure out why stuff ain't moving because Buddha just said, not that God can't be Trump, but God is a God of order, and he follows the patriarchal order of the household with the man being the priest. So if the man is the head of the household and you are not inviting God in, you are not inviting Jesus in, and you are saying Buddha, Allah, whoever come in, then you are basically reversing everything that you are putting out there. So you're praying for certain things, and it's like, well, which God you praying to? Y'all got to pick one.
Right.
And that's a very dangerous thing. Even if you don't believe in all the things that are happening supernaturally, because, there's a whole nother world happening while we are in this world. It is happening. It is very real.
Yeah.
Okay. And there's a war happening on your behalf right now as you speak for the things that you have prayed for. When you think about Daniel and how he was praying and he was trying to get an answer from God, and his angel said, hey, I've been trying to get you the answer for the past 21 days, but I've been at war with the prince of Persia. And then I had to go call Gabriel to come help. Like, that's what's happening. So you say, God, look, God, I really want my business to do well. God, I'm praying for my kids. God, can we get a new house? And God is like, the prayer is trying to get answered. He's trying to send his angels. He just sent his angel to come and deliver the resource, the answer, whatever it is that you need, the strategy, the wisdom, right? Because sometimes it's not a physical thing. It's a strategy that God, and he will deliver that way by way of your angel. All right. So you got God's angel, and then you got Allah's whatever. Or Buddha's whatever. They call them spirit prince in the Bible. It's biblical. So you got Allah's spirit prince. And then you got your heavenly angels. So Allah's spirit prince is like, is mad. Well, why you praying to the Almighty and you not asking, you got to come through me. You need to go talk to Allah or Buddha. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's this clash that's going to keep on happening. So if you are going to be a woman of God, it is in your best interest to be with someone who is a man of God, or at least is moldable. And maybe they're not speaking in tongues, and the minister, pastor, deacon, prophet, whatever, but at least y'all can pray to the same God and be on one accord.
Yeah. It's powerful.
I hope I went too deep for y'all.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Whoever's going to catch it is going to catch it. Whoever's going to catch it, who's going to catch it.
Listen, have you ever struggled when it comes to conversations on dates? Maybe a first date or even your 50th date. One thing I know is that we need to have more meaningful conversations. And that's why I created the Love Deck. 60 questions to ask before choosing the one, but really to deepen your conversations. So whether it's with that guy that you're dating or with your mom or your close girlfriends, what I know is we got to speak more to the heart of our people. Grab your Love Deck today. It's a great gift for others, and you could get it right now in our Amazon store. Pick up yours. One side is affirmations. The other side is dating conversations. Get yours today. Pick up the Love Deck.
So now when we start to think about faith, and now you got kids, and you have a business, how many babies?
4.
4 whole babies.
Yes.
And your husband works full time.
Yes.
And then you have 17 businesses.
I do. Pretty much. Oh, God.
Right? Authoring, ministering, hair, all the things. So it's just like, how do you really do that, right? Especially being so driven. And I'm not sure about your husband's drive, but he's a 9-to-5er. Because then I also hear that a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, Coach Cass, I'm an entrepreneur. These 9-to-5 men just don't get it.
Oh, get you a 9-to-5. He's stable. He got benefits. He got health insurance. He not trying to bargain away y'all's life insurance policies and mortgage the house. I don't know. I'm glad I got my 9-to-5, but it only was room for one risk taker. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, so that's good, right? Because I often get like, oh, well, he's not motivated enough. Like he just shuts off at 5. He could sit on the couch and not do anything else, but I have all these other things. So how do you find that balance, or how do you honor him for who he is, and then vice versa?
Okay, I'm going to say this. If he has his 9-to-5 and y'all bills are paid and you're living a decent lifestyle and you ain't got to want for nothing, just be quiet and go let him do. That is the way he is contributing. Okay.
Right.
If you want to run around and do all the things, then you do all the things. But I understand as a woman, we want to feel supported by our spouse. So you need to invite him and give him a job. Give him something to do. I started out in entrepreneurship. I very early on gave my husband something to do. I found something that he could help me in. He's very technical. That's how he does freelance sound engineering and production. And I remember one time I shot a video. Y'all, this is 12 years ago. It was so bad. And he was like, "Oh, it sounds horrible. I thought I had did something good." And I said, "Well, you fix it." And I did. And he went and studied, and then we started buying equipment and stuff, and he started doing my sound for events. And then, I think I wanted to take some pictures, and then, I don't know, I guess he didn't like who took my pictures. And then the man bought a camera and taught himself how to take pictures. So for a moment in my early stages, he was my photographer, my videographer, my sound person, because I asked. And I think a lot of times we want men to be a marketing genius. That ain't his skill set. You better put him where he can be valuable. Maybe he's not a sound person. Maybe he's not a marketing person. Well, what can he do? Can he set up? My husband will be there. We setting up events. We breaking down events. I've been doing these things for a long time, and he may not be in the forefront, but I'm so grateful that he was there. And then now we've shifted in our roles. Now that we have 4 children, he can't do all that. Now he's at home with our children.
Yeah.
That's enough for me.
Yeah.
As long as he ain't getting in the way.
Right. So then now that he's at home with the kids, right? Because he said, "Don't get in the way." So let's talk about roles.
Okay.
Gender roles. Okay. Right? Because he's home with the kids. So now mama them, auntie them have all the things to say of why you need to be at home with them kids and he needs to do So how has that ever been an issue between the two of you? And how did you block the noise?
Okay, very early on, again, my very first company, Maya Vana, we grew and accelerated really quickly. So we had a lot of press, a lot of exposure.
And what is Maya Vana?
Maya Vana is a hair tech company. So it's ran by my co-founder, Candace Mitchell, right now. So we developed a process to analyze hair strands to help you figure out what products work well with your hair. So
that's good. My hair ain't doing it. It's not hairing today. So.
And you look fabulous.
Thank you,
so we have a patented tool. We have a experimental partnership right now with Ulta.
Nice.
So if you go on their website, you can take a picture of your hair strands and see it. That was the very first company that I started, and I ended up stepping down from a leadership position to follow God.
Nice.
That's literally what happened. But at that time, like we were moving and shaking. And I told you I had a job before I stepped in full time, and I would be gone. So we're in North Georgia. I'm commuting all the way down to Buckhead, then getting off work, then going to our co-working space. And I'm getting off at like 11. And then I'm going home, taking a nap. We didn't have children at the time. And then I'm doing it all over again. And so my husband was like kind of doing a little bit of the cooking, the cleaning. And he says to me, he said, "I realized my role." This is what he said very early on, because he realized that I was the more driven, but I've always been like that. I was like that in college. Okay. We talking about
change.
No. He knew what he was signing up for. Absolutely. So it wasn't like I had a grand awakening and then this is what he signed up for. So he says, "I believe I'm supposed to be the one to take care of the home." That's what he said, to hold the house down. He said that to me. And I said, okay. solid. I didn't know what that meant. We didn't have children.
Yeah.
Then when I had my first child, I tried to do the whole baby go with me thing. And she did. I took her with me. Like, I have pictures. My baby traveled with me. I was nursing. I was that mom. Everywhere I could take her, I would. And then when we got pregnant with our second child, I just couldn't do that anymore. It just was not feasible because I had my children back to back. They're all within 2 years age. They are, at this current moment, they are 3, 5, 7, and 9. So we're talking about my 9-year-old that I took. And we had to figure something out. And so we had help from, and early on, we only had 2 kids. We had help from grandparents. After you had a third one, they like, you on your own. we did have help with the 2. And I get it because my children are just as rambunctious as their mother. So we had help, and then we would have nanny support. And then, I have to mention this because it's a very big part of my story. I was a stay-at-home mom for 6 years.
Whoa.
And did business.
Oh, how did that go?
I hated it. It was why I ain't doing it no more. But I'm grateful because it set a really good foundation for our home. And that led me all the way up into the pandemic. So what happened in the pandemic, everyone started working from home. And it was almost like I heard God say, it's time for you to get an office. I literally heard that because where God was getting ready to take my business and everything, I couldn't do this at home thing. We got a 4th kid, and God gave me a strategy on how to do that, which still nursing my 4th one. So I talked to my husband about it.
Yeah.
And then we put all them kids in daycare. I know. We're just going to bless the Lord for engineer data science salary because we put all the kids in daycare. God had elevated my husband. He was making more money. And the kids started going to school. They were going to daycare. And my husband was at home. And then we had a conversation early on. So you got to get you someone that believes in you. And we were just talking, me and my friend Liz were just talking about this in the car. And my husband saw something in me from like a media perspective and being able to show up. And he still says, I don't know why you don't have 1 million followers yet. Yeah. And he said, Chanel, I will do what it takes for you to get to where you need to be. He said, he said that to me. Yeah. And because he understood that my purpose was connected to it. Now, every now and then he gets frustrated. And I said, remember you said, this is what it takes. I said, I ain't there yet. It's coming. The big break is coming. And so that's what we did. He said he just want to be out the way. So I try to do things when I do travel a lot. When I do travel, I cook. They're going to get that big pot of spaghetti and, then I'm making sure food is done. I clean my house real good. I make sure the kids' clothes, like I set my house in order before I leave.
Okay, Proverbs 31.
Oh, we got to do that because if I don't, I'm going to be mad when I come home. I'm going to be stressed out. So I set my house in order. And everyone still does have things to say. But I'm going to tell you what, my kids are excelling. Their grades are good. They are well kept. They do not look crazy. They're not malnourished. Yeah. And their mother gets to pursue purpose. Yeah. And my daughters and even my sons are like, wow, they're really proud of their mom. So I'm grateful that we're giving them another vision. And then lastly, this was the last piece. This is so important. Y'all got to say this. I had to trust my husband that he could care for my children as good as I could.
Oh, wow. So you weren't calling every 3 minutes to be like, did you do this? Did you do that?
No. I'm going to tell you something because I told you I'd be hearing the Lord and I was stressed about it. And when God started telling me like, hey, I'm getting ready to send you out, like these are things when you are a woman of faith, you're praying, God will show you where you're going. So I knew I was getting ready to be doing the most. Yeah. And I was like, but God, and this is what God said to me. He said, concerning my children, he said, those are my children too. Yeah. And when I heard that, I said, it was like a weight was lifted. I said, well, he has a vested interest to make sure that my children are good because those are his children too.
Right. That's a big distinction.
That released me from mom guilt, from all the things, because I was like, if God is calling me in these places, then he's going to take care of my family. And it is a little rocky and a little rough. That gives character an edge because it's not always together. It's, sometimes my husband be like, ugh, going out of town again.
Right.
I'm like, yeah, remember we talked about this, but we understand that that's part of the process.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. Oh, that's so good. So we do have an in-studio audience here, so I feel like somebody might have a question in the audience. So our host here.
Yes, thank you so much for a fantastic conversation. So we have questions from our friends. Will you please introduce yourself and then ask your question?
Hey, Jamie McKinney. I drove here from Birmingham, Alabama, so I did hear a little bit about Birmingham. So thank you for your story. My question to you is, I heard a lot about affirmations. And so can you kind of comment on how putting positive affirmations out there played a role in kind of your journey and things that turned out in your life?
Absolutely. We call them affirmations. I call it reciting the word of God back to myself and remembering the promises of God. And so there are scriptures that I have held near and dear. And one of those is, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but a power of love. And I like the New Living Translation that says, and self-discipline. So I feel like that scripture describes my whole life, right? So if I'm feeling anxious, I'm like, God has not given me a spirit of fear, right? Power, that means I have authority. I have what I need through the blood of Jesus. Love, I am loved well, right? And then, of course, sound mind, right? That goes back to the anxious, but the New Living Translation says self-discipline. And what I think about self-discipline, when I was trying to get my fitness routine and get myself regimented, because I have to live a very regimented life. You ask me how I do it, I'm very regimented. Almost, it's annoying to everybody who watches because they're just like, why? But I mean, these are my things I have to do. It's the self-discipline. I have to tell myself self-discipline, self-discipline. And I feel like that's the thing that hinders people from being able to even have relationships, even love people, even care for yourself. We lack self-discipline.
What's that regimen look like?
All right. So
I'm scared already.
No, it's really not that bad because I've lightened up. But I wake up in the morning. Okay, first of all my kids barely can dress themselves. So, and nobody can do their hair yet. So we are getting up and I'm doing hair. I'm checking clothes. I'm smelling armpits. You need to wash off. Like I'm doing all those things to make sure my kids are well and that they are. So me and my husband work together actually to get the kids out the door. He drives them to school, or to the bus stop. Yes. He does the pick up and drop off. Primarily because I used to do a morning show like every morning, but then we just kept it. And then after that, depending upon what I got going on, I will go and I do what I call walk and pray. So let's go back to these affirmations, right? I do what I call walk and pray. I bought a treadmill and I walk a minimum of 30 minutes a day on that treadmill, and I'm talking to God. I'm reading, I'm praying.
You read while on the treadmill?
Yeah, I put the little thing on.
That's like talented.
I do. I'm reading. I'm talking to God. I'm getting strategy in those 30 minutes. So that walk and pray thing is like instrumental. And then my phone is on the most gangster do not disturb possible. Like it bothers people. Like you really can't talk to me. That thing stays on. I don't care if you call 20 times. I cut that second ring call off and I don't even get notifications. You can do it on your iPhone. I made it where I don't even see that you call. I have to literally consciously pick up and check. I have to do that because I'll get so distracted. I also ask God what he wants me to do. I go and make sure, okay, God, what are we working on today? What's your priority for me? And then after that, we try to work out 3 days a week. If I don't miss it, I'm not missing my walk and pray because I could tell because I'd be a hot mess if I miss walk and pray. And then after that, I'm working. Then around my kids get home around 3. They got to take baths immediately if they don't have soccer practice. Then around 5-ish, I'm getting up, I'm cooking dinner, making sure everybody's straight. And then immediately after dinner around 6, if the littles need a bath, we'll give them a bath. And then they in the bed by 7.
Nice.
So and then I try to be in the bed by 9. And it annoys people, especially people that stay up late. Now, lately I've been a little slack, but for the most part, when I'm on, I'm in that bed by 9. Y'all can't call me. I didn't see. No, I'm not up. And I'll do it again.
Wow.
And I found that I'm able to handle, because life is hard, y'all. We have challenges. I'm able to withstand life's challenges because now I have a clear mind. I've talked to God and I'm settled.
That's beautiful. Okay, come on.
Thank you. You said early on in the conversation that your mom told you, she prepped you, she gave you a lot of wisdom, and you said, but she didn't tell me the other half. I had to find that out on my own. Will you share with us what that other half was that you had to find out on your own?
Okay, so one of the challenges that me and my husband are challenged through in our marriage, right? Because all marriages are going to have some challenges. I didn't understand the importance of values.
Okay.
So I understood faith, but I didn't understand values. So there are certain things that I value more that he does not value. And I didn't even know the language for it. And I was trying to figure out, well, why you don't want to be around your family like that? He does not value family.
Okay.
I come from a very large family. I grew up with my cousins. My cousins are my brothers and sisters too. So I wanted to be around family. I make everybody my family. If I accept you in, you are my family, like literally. So I love having people. I am an extreme extrovert. I do have my introvert moments, but I want you around. I don't mind people being around. I'm not going to get tired of you, of hardly anybody. And that was a high value. So we would clash because I would be confused. He's not really a celebratory person, right?
Wow.
I value celebrations. Like I want to celebrate anything. I don't care what you do. I will celebrate. If it's a celebration, if you want to name it, I'll be making up celebrations. I will celebrate everything. And when we first got married, I was really confused because I wanted him to celebrate me and celebrate the things because that's what I wanted. And that wasn't a value for him. And we were conflicting there. I had to realize like, Chanel, you cannot penalize him for not being as excited. So he may do it because I asked him to do it because he should, because he wants to be a good husband.
Right.
But I can't be mad if he's not excited about doing it.
Yeah.
He's like, here go your flowers. I'm like, I want the, here's the flower. Like I want all the gems.
Circumstance.
All of that. And so, those are just a few of those values. And so whenever I talk with women that are dating or single, I'm like, hey, make sure you check them values.
Yeah.
Because I got real thick skin and I can take a lot. And so like I'm able to navigate a lot of hard things that we've had. And I'm very confrontational. So meaning that I will have the hard conversations with my husband. A lot of women I realize are not like me.
Right.
So I'm like, you need to figure out what y'all gonna do because this is gonna pop up later. Go ahead and make sure those values align.
Right.
Thank you. That's so good. We have one more question.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Anne Marie, and you mentioned that in school you found your husband. So I'm out of school now. So is there hope for me?
I want to say this. I do believe that there is hope for you, but you just gonna have to be where the means is at, okay? Because if you are in your house, I know they have dating apps. So, but just to preface, I've been married for a long time. There was no dating app. Well, if there was, Facebook was just like barely invented. So I don't understand the whole dating app thing. So I guess maybe that's the equivalent of being outside. If it's not,
No.
Okay,
you gotta be outside too.
I was like, if it's not like, and you're not outside, like you got to be outside.
Yeah.
So, okay, think about when you were in college and the amount of men that you had access to and had exposure to. Go recreate those situations. Sporting events. When the last time you went to a Hawks game? Right? When the last time you went to, right? Go be the gym. And then I would say this, as someone who is married, but gets hit on quite frequently, and I let them know that I am married. One of the things I realize is that I am a very open person. So making sure that when you go out, you're presenting yourself like you are available to be spoken to, and that you are friendly, and that you are watching your face and you are watching your body language. And so if you go to the Hawks game and you or
Right.
And you're wondering why nobody even noticed you. They couldn't even see your face. They couldn't even see your beauty. So that's what I would recommend. Any single woman, go get into those spaces where your numbers. I tell one of my friends who's dating, I say to her all the time, I say, it's a numbers game. So I'm an engineer, right? I'm like, it's a numbers game, you know, and you don't always win on the first try. So you got to have, I told you I had 4 in the lineup. Like,
right.
You got to have options. And so what I feel like is happening with women, because we may not be around and we may be tired, may not want to take that extra effort. And it does. If you want to find your forever person, it takes that effort. And I'm sure Coach Cass teaches about all of that stuff. But I ain't no dating expert. That's just what I would do.
But it's still good advice. Yeah, go ahead.
That's our last question. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, Chanel, this has been really good. This has been extra good. I didn't even think it was going to go there, but I number one, we need to bring your mama on. Okay, just go ahead. Let's go ahead and let your mama Faye, you said?
Wanda Faye. I just literally dropped her off at the airport today. That's probably why I'm like, I'm channeling my mama.
All
that's why, yeah.
I really think this was really helpful. Was this helpful, ladies?
Yes.
Okay, so any parting words, and then where can they find you?
I would just say, present yourself as someone that is likable. For those of you that are looking for love, be likable, be approachable, be friendly, go outside. And when we realize you are the prize, you know, the Bible says that, you know, a wife brings favor. You are the favor. With you comes favor, comes blessings, right? When you step in with a man, his business gets better. He gets promotions. He starts dressing better. So treat yourself like the favor that you are. And because a man findeth, he wants to chase after favor. So you have to present yourself to be favorable, right? So that's what I was saying. And you can find me. I am Chanel E. Martin on all platforms.
Listen, you just seen another episode of The Love Lens. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you tell all your friends and you share, okay? Because this happens every single week. Keep loving, keep laughing, keep living. Bye.